Greetings, Acolytes. We have been waiting for answers, and we finally have a few of them with the Jedi Barriss Offee. She has finally returned, after many years of waiting and wondering what happened to the rogue apprentice of Master Luminara post-Order 66. Our suspicions and hopes are now confirmed. She has officially gotten involved with the Inquisitorius. In recent Star Wars canon, the Inquisitors have been given a lot of spotlight, as more and more information about their order and their members is beginning to come to light. But I'm sure that few of us expected to see the return to screen of Barriss of all people lined up alongside them. But that wasn't the only thing that we noticed in the trailer, so let's get right into all of this, including the training of the Inquisitors, Barriss, and our predictions for Tales of the Empire, as we talk about small little tidbits in the lore, where the Inquisitors have come from, and where Barriss could end up. The first thing that our archive researchers were wondering about was how Barriss was going to fit into the Inquisitors. Unlike most of the Jedi's fall to the dark side, Barriss's descent was not straightforward. There wasn't a tremendous tragedy or contact with the Sith artifact that warped and altered her mind. Rather, Barriss was turned against the Jedi Order on a purely idealistic basis. She believed that the Jedi had become far too militant and warlike. And while this wasn't a new opinion to have, she became an extremist over it and would bomb the Jedi Temple hangar as a publicity statement before blaming it on Ahsoka. Just to prove to the point of how violent the Jedi were, they all immediately began hunting down Ahsoka without taking a moment to really think about the circumstances that surrounded it. After Barriss was caught and arrested, she gave a fiery speech about how the Republic was sinking and the Jedi were essentially responsible. She even accuses them of falling from the light side and becoming an army of the dark side itself. To add insult to injury, she would be largely correct, with the Galactic Empire being the very thing that she was preaching about. This is where we started to wonder in our own speculations. Although Barriss claimed Ventress's red lightsabers and said that they suited her, her heart seemed far from the way of the Sith. Our big concern is how she is going to go from being a rebel against militarism to becoming an Inquisitor, the Empire's militant branch of the dark side wielders. In fact, we wonder if she is going to become one at all. When looking at what we're shown in the trailer, Barriss is recruited by the Fourth Sister long after the creation of the Inquisitorius. She is then tested personally by the Grand Inquisitor, who introduces her to Vader. All this while Barriss isn't shown to have any apprehension to this process that we can see, meaning that her time in prison may have given her much time to meditate and slip deeper into the darkness. As we know, the dark side can warp and twist anyone's idealism and intentions, no matter how noble they are. Once you embrace that path, you become the very thing that you swore to destroy, all while thinking you are doing so because of a righteous crusade. This is possibly what will happen to Barriss. This is likely what will happen to Barriss, getting revenge against the Jedi Order, those that turned away from their values as peacekeepers. If at first this seems a bit strange, then we haven't heard of Barriss as an Inquisitor before this moment. We are constantly still learning from the rest of the ranks. From what we know, there are around 14 Inquisitors based off of the ranking numbers. This is of course the ones that we've met. Even within that 14, some of the numbers, such as number 9, are still unaccounted for. Having said that, there are a couple of Inquisitors that still haven't been given a rank, such as the Tuolon Yalun and Marok. Speaking of Inquisitor Marok, just as a quick aside, it is super exciting that we get to see his return to screen as well. His appearance alongside the other Inquisitors during the early days proves that he wasn't a mere creation of Night Sister magic, but was once likely a regular Jedi like the rest. With the other episodes and Tales of the Empire focusing on the journey of Morgan Elsbeth, hopefully we'll get to actually see the moment where Marok and Morgan meet one another and get an answer as to what happened to him. There's the possibility that the two stories may run parallel to one another and intersect at some point in the future, perhaps showing how Barriss may have something to do with Marok's transformation and when he meets Morgan. But back to Barriss, there is a high possibility that she may not become an Inquisitor at all. Their training is all about pain and breaking from their Jedi habits. When Vader was put in charge of leading and training the Inquisitors, the very first thing that he did was command them all to fight him. The Dark Lord then systematically dismantled them one by one, reprimanding them for fighting, as he put it, like Jedi. Vader taught them to forego their defensive ways, to devote their styles to exclusively attack. He would then take something from each of them, either a hand or an eye, some part of the body, in order to teach them loss and pain. His final lesson was to combine both of these previous experiences to create pure offense through memories of loss. This was the training of the Inquisitors. Barriss fundamentally disagrees with the majority of this, as she accused the Jedi as being servants of the dark side. The ways of nothing but relentless attack and overwhelming violence was why Barriss made her stand. While taking into consideration the dark side abilities to warp perspectives, even Barriss would acknowledge the irony in her decision. There is a high possibility that Barriss may attempt to play along with the Inquisitor's training until the moment where she can seize her freedom, unless she'll be double-crossed by Palpatine. There's currently no doubt in our minds that Palpatine had something to do with Barriss joining the Inquisitorius. Palpatine was the judge of her trial and issued her to be arrested and not executed. He knew that she was in prison all of this time, and with him also being the one to put the Inquisitors together before Darth Vader was actually ever burned, as it was revealed in the canon comics that the Inquisitorius were a design of Palpatine, and a method for him to corral fallen Jedi before the ultimate turn of the Order, as he knew that he would need dark side warriors and wolves to hunt down the remaining Jedi, and what better to do that with than with former Jedi, but that they were ultimately a disappointment, and he saw no need to refill their ranks once the Jedi problem was handled, and was in the end ultimately saddened by their performance as dark side wielders, although of course he never intended them to become very powerful at all. What is clear though, although Barriss Offee did not align with the Jedi Order, even claiming that they had embraced the dark side of the Force and were being led by the dark side, just because she disagrees with the Jedi doesn't mean that she fundamentally agrees with that of the Sith, her new master in Vader and Palpatine, and I believe that this will actually serve as a redemption story for the character of Barriss. Her reasons to turn to the dark side and embrace it were paved with good intentions, and although she went too far and the calls of the dark side answered, it was never her intention to bring about war. But now, she is a part of the very thing that she was terrified of. The Jedi had not embraced the dark side, but they had lost their way. But now, she is following those that are truly lost, servants, pawns to the greater powers at play here. And I am extremely excited to see her interaction with Lord Vader, and if there is any sense of recognition from either of them. But anyway, my friends, this is why I believe that Barriss may not actually join the Inquisitorius, and that we are being misled. Perhaps this is all going to serve as a form of redemption, as again, in the lore, we cannot track down where Barriss is, or if she was any of the Inquisitors that we know of. But anyway, my acolytes, what are your thoughts on Barriss Offee's return to Star Wars canon? And are you excited to see the long-awaited conclusion to her story? A story literally years in the making, before Disney ever purchased Lucasfilm. What are your thoughts on Barriss? What are your thoughts on the Inquisitors? And are you glad that we're getting more stuff in lieu of Tales of the Jedi and Clone Wars Season 7? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. May the Force be with you, and have a phenomenal day.